An angry crowd demands the death of a witch. They blame her for corrupting a knight with her evil magic. They want her gone from their holy land. After all the battles she fought for the kingdom, this is how they repay her, by crucifying and burning her alive. Talk about thanks for your service, huh? Even in pain, the witch wishes for her homeland to thrive for 1,000 generations. Bro, she's literally on fire and still more patriotic than half the kingdom. Meanwhile, a boy named Cheba is at an interview to rent a small apartment. He wants a place for 30,000 yen, which is dirt cheap, especially for Tokyo. Surprisingly, the agent tells him he might have just the place. It's a fully furnished apartment with utilities included, right in the center of Tokyo, and the rent is just 20,000 yen. Bro, in Tokyo, that price sounds faker than my New Year's resolution. But the agent warns him. There are strange stories about this apartment. Cheba doesn't care. He doesn't believe in ghosts or monsters, so they schedule a visit. Later, Chiba arrives at the apartment. He thinks it looks like a mausoleum, but for that price he can't complain. The agent says the house was inspired by European architecture. For example, the ceiling beams are handmade with imported European wood. Then the man mentions that the wood supposedly came from the site of a witch's execution. At least that's the legend. No biggie, but Cheba doesn't care about legends. He just wants a cheap place. Outside, a strange man is watching them. He looks like a ghost. Chiba feels the man's intense stare, like he's being judged. Chiba quickly closes the window and tells the agent someone's staring at them. But the man calmly says, strange things are normal here, especially in this room. He says he feels a strong evil presence here. The agent warns Chiba again to find another place, but Chiba is sure he wants this one. This man clearly never watched a single horror movie in his life. The agent gives up. Chiba signs the contract happily. After all, he'd never find such a cheap place in Tokyo. Congrats, bro. You just got a haunted penthouse on a peasant's budget. A week later, it's Chiba's first day in his new home. Time to unpack. He's just arrived when he hears a strange noise. It's a creepy voice. Still, for 20,000 yen, he's willing to tolerate some weird sounds. Bro's thinking, poltergeist, fine, as long as it's rent-controlled. That night, nothing else happens until later when he hears the voice again. This time it says, Nyibshil. Chiba finds it strange. It's like the ghost is too lazy and wants someone else to do the job. Bro's like, I'm not your unpaid hitman, Casper. The voice keeps bothering him until Chiba finally yells, F off, I'm not doing what you say. Suddenly he sees a girl trapped on the ceiling with two priests about to hurt her. One of them strikes her with something like a whip. She screams in pain, but Chiba isn't even focused on her pain. He just wants to know what's going on. He grabs one of the stranger's arms, but the ghost's arm turns to dust. Both of them scream in pain and vanish. Chiba is bamboozled by what just happened. He looks up at the ceiling and sees a thick girl just stuck there. Bro's about to forget every warning sign, just for those curves. He's sure it's a dream, but not just any dream. He just got a 10 out of 10 baddie with massive milkers stuck on his ceiling. And being the degenerate he is, it'd be a waste not to enjoy this kind of dream. This man went from haunted house to heavenly blessings real quick. The girl asks if he's the new inquisitor. She says he's wasting his time, she'll never lose her faith. Cheba looks into her eyes, pure, noble, and determined. He thanks her for accepting a pure offering and smiles. Like Bro is about to eat. Yep, fuck. He starts fondling her breasts. Take her breast. The girl is shocked. She can barely speak. But on the other hand, Cheba is enjoying this with his whole heart. So huge. Fuck. This man just unlocked ultra instinct of degeneracy. He starts thinking, so this is how boobs feel? Apparently these are his methods. The knight says she won't lose faith no matter what. She refuses to give up, but Chiba thinks, oh, she wants to play night games, huh? He then shoves his hands inside her dress and touches her skin directly. It's too much for her. Tears start forming in her eyes, and she starts screaming. Meanwhile, Bro is out here like, her skin is softer than my hopes and dreams. This is the first time something like this has ever happened to him, and he thinks, this might be the happiest day of my life. I can finally die in peace.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Finally, he lets her go. The knight tells him he touched demons and survived, so maybe he's blessed somehow. But Chiba ignores her. He lifts her blouse. She warns him to stop, promising she might spare him, but he grabs her 2 weak spots, and that's too much for her. Chiba is surprised by her unexpected reaction. Booty? To him, the warrior made a cute sound. Bro's like, wait a second, is that the sound of victory? The girl says she wants to die because only someone truly evil could smile like that. Chiba remembers this is a dream, so he thinks he can do whatever he wants. With full confidence, he asks the girl to be his girlfriend. Of course, she says no with the coldest expression ever. Desperate after being rejected by a baddie, he hides between 2 massive mountains where he wasn't supposed to. My guy went from dream Chad to dream incel in 0.2 seconds. Chiba even starts crying, saying not even in his dreams can he get a girlfriend. Even the girl has stopped resisting the strange pleasure. She feels something enter his mouth. He doesn't know what it is, but it feels good. Good. Now the dream feels way too real, and he begins to question if it's really just a dream. The girl can't take it anymore. She doesn't even want to live. Suddenly, a strange energy fills the house. Bro, if your dream starts radiating shonen final boss energy, it's not a dream anymore. She somehow escapes from where she was trapped. She introduces herself. She is the holy knight Margaret, and by her authority she sentences him. Then she summons her sacred sword, but to Chiba, it looks more like a demonic weapon. Margaret has never been tested like this before. Her faith has never been so shaken. She hopes this is a dream because everything feels way too real. With her holy sword, she pierces Chiba's chest. He definitely feels it. He falls to the ground, unable to move. There's no pain, but he can't feel his lips either. Several days later, even though Chiba thought he had died, somehow he's still breathing. Now he must get used to his new routine, school, and his new haunted home. Maybe it really was just a dream, a crazy nightmare caused by the cursed apartment. But then reality hits. Margaret is there welcoming him home. She says the curry is ready, 10 out of 10 waifu. Chiba asks if it's boiled, and she says, yes, it's the only way I know how to cook. She learned from watching TV. She proudly presents her food, but Chiba begs her to stop cooking and move on to the afterlife. But she reminds him again, she won't leave until she removes the sacred sword from inside him. She sticks her hand into his chest, and the sword hilt appears. She pulls it to one side. Nothing. She pulls it to the other side, and Chiba begs her to stop. That's how things are now. After receiving the sword in his heart, he's still alive. In fact, he has absorbed the sacred blade. Homie really went from tenant to walking armory overnight. With that settled, she asks if he'll eat the curry. They sit down to eat together. She takes a big spoonful, and it's so spicy it feels like lava. But Margaret doesn't even flinch. Ghost taste buds built different. Then she explains what happened that night. Chiba's powerful spiritual energy merged with hers, giving her a physical form. In return, his body absorbed the holy sword. To Margaret, her sword is more important than her own life. She says if he wants her gone, he'll have to help her recover the sword. Until then, she's staying. And she won't pay rent either, since he grabbed her. Even if he insists, he thought it was a dream. This man just got scammed into ghost marriage and lost his wallet in one night. That's how they began living together, with Margaret calling him a rat who stole her sword. Margaret quietly watches TV in the living room. In the show, one boy insults another. They punch each other, but then become friends. This gives her an idea of how school works in this world. Anime Education 101. Punch first, bond later. At school, someone calls out to Chiba. An outgoing boy invites him to karaoke. Chiba can't remember his name. The boy notices and introduces himself. Paris Knight, a name no one should forget, he says. Paris heard Chiba lives alone, yet always rushes home after school. Chiba lies and says he actually lives with his sister. Bro really speedrun a suspicious alibi mode. Paris suggests they hang out more since they'll be classmates for the year, but Chiba already knows the truth. Paris just wants to use his apartment as a hangout spot. So, Chiba refuses, saying karaoke won't do him any good, and even gives Paris a tip. Save your money for something useful. Bro out here giving financial advice like he's the ghost of Dave Ramsey. Back home, Chiba says, I'm home. Margaret welcomes him and asks if he found a sparring partner at school. To Chiba, All the boys at school are idiots with spiky hair and piercings everywhere. He only chose this school because it's far from his parents' house. Hanging out is just a waste of time. More importantly, he asks when his guest will finally move on. But despite everything, there's been no progress. To Chiba, Margaret is just wasting time. She should pass on already. Margaret agrees but calls him a dishonest rat and a sword thief. Maybe it would be easier just to end Chiba's life. She pulls a blade out of his body and says she'll use what she learned on TV about frying a fish on him. Bro went from roommate problems to Ghost Gordon Ramsay murder threat. Terrified, Chiba runs out of the house, leaving her behind, just like always, a coward. In the end, Chiba still believes the girl is an evil spirit. He promises to buy some food, hoping it'll calm Margaret down. He continues walking alone through the streets. Eventually, he finds himself in a part of the city he's never seen before. The smaller, quieter atmosphere actually makes him feel better. But then, he accidentally bumps into someone, a delinquent with an unfriendly face. The guy gets completely soaked. Chiba tries to apologize, but the delinquent refuses to accept it. He demands 500,000 yen for his shirt. Obviously, Chiba thinks that's ridiculous. Unfortunately, he gets beaten up in the alley. The delinquent says this is a lesson. A kid should know what happens when he messes with an adult. Then, he takes Chiba's wallet as compensation. Suddenly, a voice asks if Chiba really isn't going to fight back. He looks up and sees Margaret standing beside him in full armor. She asks if he's really going to let the guy walk away like that. But Chiba says there's no point in fighting someone clearly stronger. Only fools do that. In his opinion, bravery in today's world doesn't solve anything. He thinks of himself as a pathetic guy. Bro's self-esteem meter just hit rock-bottom speedrun %. Son. Meanwhile, the delinquent notices there's a lot of cash in Chiba's wallet. He must be a rich kid. Oh great! Robbery plus insult combo unlocked.